Hey guys, welcome to the Crumb Cake Kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make Swiss Meringue Buttercream. All you need is a few simple ingredients and a little bit of patience. Swiss meringue has an ultra light and silky texture. It's far less sweet than traditional American buttercream. It's highly stable and it pipes beautifully. In my opinion, it's the best choice for any kitchen. To make Swiss meringue, you'll need 1.5 cups or 300 grams of granulated white sugar, 1 pound of room temperature butter, 5 egg whites, 2 teaspoons pure vanilla extract, and 1 teaspoon of salt. I'd highly recommend a stand mixer to make Swiss meringue buttercream. I wouldn't even attempt this recipe by hand. Sometimes Swiss meringue gets a bad rap because it's not as simple to make as American buttercream, but today I'm going to show you step by step how I mastered this recipe. Let's begin by separating the egg whites into a small bowl. It's crucial that no yolk remains in the whites as it prevents your meringue from developing glossy, stiff peaks. It's equally important that your bowl is clean and free of any fat residue. For this reason, I prefer to crack 1 egg at a time into a small dish and empty into a heat-proof bowl between each additional egg. A small amount of yolk can ruin your entire batch. Set aside the yolks to be used for another purpose. If you prefer, you can use an egg separator, but I find it too time-consuming when making larger batches. Pour your sugar into the egg whites and give it a good whisk. At this point, it will be thick and grainy. Place your glass bowl over a water bath or bain-marie. This is basically just a small pot with enough water to simmer, but not so much that it touches the bottom of your bowl. For the purposes of this tutorial, I chose a glass bowl, but typically I use my stand mixer bowl to save on dishes. It's worth noting that using a glass bowl took twice as long to heat the mixture to the required temperature, and I expect it would take longer to cool as well. Stir the mixture continuously. As it heats, it will become quite runny and foamy. Egg whites must be heated to 160 degrees to be considered safe to eat. Doing so removes the risk of salmonella. I use an infrared thermometer to test for temperature. If you don't have a thermometer, you can feel the mixture between your fingers. It should be silky smooth with no grainy texture, and at that point you can remove it from the heat. Pour the egg and sugar mixture into the bowl of your stand mixer. Using the balloon whisk attachment, begin with the mixer on low speed. Once the mixture becomes white and foamy, you can turn the mixer up to high speed. After 2 to 3 minutes, your meringue will begin to thicken and reach the soft peak stage, but keep mixing until you have achieved a thick and glossy meringue. This will take about 10 minutes in a stand mixer. Once you reach the stiff peak stage, feel the outside of the bowl. If it is still warm, you need to keep mixing until the bowl is room temperature to touch. If you don't wait long enough, you'll end up with a soupy bowl of buttercream. When I began making Swiss meringue buttercream, I had several failed batches, and I felt like pulling my hair out. Once I began using an infrared thermometer to test for temperature, everything changed. If you take anything from this tutorial, this would be my best advice. Whip your meringue on high until it cools to 79 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit maximum. At this point, you can safely add the room temperature butter and expect success. If your kitchen is on the warm side, you may find it difficult to cool the meringue sufficiently. If this happens, place the bowl of your mixture in the fridge or freezer for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, put the bowl back on the stand mixer, give it a whip, and check the temperature again. Keep doing this until your meringue reaches 79 to 80 degrees, with less time in the fridge or freezer each time. Now you're ready to add the butter. Begin by changing to the paddle attachment. Your butter should be room temperature. If you can push your finger gently into it, but it's not melted, it's perfect. Adding the butter too hot or too cold will affect your final outcome, so take the time to ensure that your butter is the correct temperature. Add 1 cube of butter at a time, allowing it to incorporate a little between each addition. Once all of your butter has been added, you can turn the mixer up to high. Now that all of the butter has been added, you may find that the meringue will begin to deflate. Don't worry, just keep mixing. It's important to stop your mixer occasionally and scrape down the sides and bottom of the bowl so you can get all of the meringue that is hiding underneath. The buttercream will change consistency, and you may begin to wonder if it's ruined. It can often take on a curdled appearance because the butter is not fully incorporated yet. This is what it might look like at this stage. Just put it back in the mixer and continue mixing. Believe it or not, this is just right. After a few more minutes, the buttercream will begin to take on that characteristic smooth and silky texture of Swiss meringue. You'll notice that the buttercream begins to pull away from the bowl as well. Stop. Now listen carefully. This is where you might run into an issue with Swiss meringue and throw out a batch that could have been saved. If you add the butter while the meringue is still too warm, the butter will melt and your buttercream will be runny. Just place the mixer bowl in the fridge for 5 minutes to cool the mixture down. Bring it out and place it back in the mixer. Give it a good whip and check the temperature again if you have a thermometer. The temperature in the middle of the meringue should not exceed 80 degrees Fahrenheit. If you don't have a thermometer, make sure to fill the bowl with your hands after whipping. You may have to do this step 2 to 3 times. If you add cold butter to the meringue, you'll have trouble incorporating it and the meringue will look very curdled. Often adding another couple of cubes of warmer butter and mixing it will bring it all together. This is why I swear by using a thermometer to make Swiss meringue buttercream. Consider purchasing an infrared thermometer if you want to master this recipe. You'll thank me later. If everything has gone as planned, at this point you can add your flavoring. I chose to add 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract and 1 teaspoon of salt. If you use salted butter, there's no need to add additional salt. Continue mixing until all of the flavoring has been fully incorporated. At this point, I like to turn the mixer down to low speed and mix for 2 to 3 minutes to eliminate some of the air bubbles. Don't worry if you forget, it's no big deal. You can also mix it by hand with a spatula. Look at that beautiful buttercream. An absolute dream to decorate with, and even better to eat. If you enjoyed this tutorial, I would really appreciate it if you subscribed, liked this video, and rang the bell for notification. Please see the description below for the recipe. Thanks for watching.